friend and I were followed through the forest by something sinister. I'll preface this by saying we were 12, 13 at the time. My friend and I often snuck out of either of our houses during sleepovers for late night walks. This was the basis of this terrifying encounter, and it stopped us from ever sneaking out after dark again. My friend lived opposite a huge forest, so her house was the preferred choice to sneak out of for us to roam around at night because the forest was more scary and thrilling. We always took flashlights, food and blankets so we could camp out for a couple of hours before going back home again. Well, on this fateful night we inadvertently fell asleep instead of staying awake, so when my friend suddenly jolted me from sleep it was past 3 a.m., a lot later than we usually snuck out. We grabbed our essentials and creeped out of the back door into the cold and dark night. Frost crunched underfoot as we crossed the deserted road, and as we reached the entrance to the forest we noticed how pitch black and completely silent it was, unnervingly so. We turned on our torches and stepped onto the uneven path into the forest, the light illuminating the trees swaying in the icy wind. We stepped on fallen sodden leaves and bark as we made an unsteady but familiar way into our favorite part of the forest, our cold breath the only noise to invade the deafening silence. We reached the small hut we constructed one afternoon, made entirely of sticks purely for the purpose of having some shelter for our campouts. There were times that vandals or other kids damaged our hut, but for the most part it stayed intact. However, on this occasion it was completely destroyed, like a harbinger of worse to come. We were just deciding to call it a night and come back later on that day to repair the hut when we heard it, this loud shrieking giggle that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. My friend and I jumped in shock and looked at each other like WTF. We were completely freaked out. The eerie and unnatural giggle rang out again, contradicting the silence and making my body break out in goosebumps. "Someone is in here," my friend whispered to me, looking utterly terrified. "We have to go now." Her voice of rationale made it even more scary and unnerving to me that someone was in the forest with us. At 3 in the morning. We just looked at each other in assent and took off running in unison, our footsteps navigating the path as naturally as we could from muscle memory, our uneven gasps of air punctuating the giggling that seemed to be following us. Getting closer and closer. Our torches' light went up and down with our fast movements illuminating random patches of the trees and bushes. We finally saw a small sliver of light as we came to the forest entrance. Running out of the forest, we didn't stop until we reached the back door of my friend's house and almost collapsed in a breathless heap of relief to be safe. Then my friend's eyes went wide and she nudged me, pointing a shaky finger to a spot across the road. A haggard woman of indeterminate age was standing at the forest entrance, giggling that awful horrifying giggle, and was waving over at us. We screamed, ran inside, and looked out of my friend's bedroom window through the smallest gap in the curtain. We could still see the woman standing there. Worse yet, she was staring right at us as if she knew we were there. We could tell she was still giggling that hideous, appalling laugh. She turned very slowly and walked back into the forest again. We never went back to that forest nor went out after dark again. Follow for more horror stories.